You'll have heard the phrase, how doing the same thing twice and expecting different results is the very definition of insanity. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how email marketing, marketing automation, and sales automation is a better way of being able to scale your business more predictably and profitably in the right way. I'm also going to share two other methods of how your email communications can be automated, so stay tuned for those. Hi and welcome. If you're new here, I'm Gareth Everson and I run Lemonade Plan. I started this channel to share knowledge, tips and insights with solopreneurs, freelancers and small business owners, sharing some of the experiences and things that I've helped my clients with over the last 12 years that's helped them to scale their business more predictably and more profitably and use their own time and tech more efficiently. So in today's session, we're going to be talking about what kind of email communications we could be automating. You'll have heard of email marketing, perhaps marketing automation and sales automation. I'll also talk about finance automation and also a thing that I like to call micro automations. It's not talked about all that much in the email marketing industry, but I think you'll find some good insights on that as we go. So let's talk first about email marketing. And what I mean by email marketing is the send once type of bulk email communications. It's also known as email broadcasts. MailChimp calls it email campaigns. Some people refer to them as email blasts, although I really hate that phrase. That sounds very untargeted and unspecific. But let's call them email broadcasts because that seems to be what most people in the industry call them. These are where you schedule or send spontaneously email to your target audience, so your list, some people refer to it as, about a particular topic, whether it's insights about something in particular, whether it's news that you've seen and you want to relate to them, things that you've worked on with clients, or other such topics that are relevant for your audience. And that's a really important phrase, relevancy. You might have built over the time that you've run your business a much larger list than is your current target audience. They might have different interests in mind. They might have different perspectives on where they're at and how, and you might have different perspectives about them as well, about how you might want to work with them. I would definitely encourage you to think about quality rather than quantity with your email lists. So one of the key things about email marketing in a broadcast sense or a email broadcast sense is that there's a common misconception that that email that you send to your list should be a newsletter, and people overemphasize this news angle of it. Really, your audience, especially if you're a service business, don't particularly care that much about your news or your team's news in their context. What they really care about as they're in their inbox and they're reading through their emails is, how will this email help me and help me solve the problems that I have right now? So instead of thinking about your email broadcasts or your email campaigns as kind of news and updates from your team outwards, that introspective look, think about your audience from a perspective of, how can I help them with the problems either that they came to me with or that I know they've got? What's my take on that? What's recent experience that I have working with clients who are like them that would benefit them where they're at right now? So that's my big tip for email marketing. The next obvious topic is marketing automation. Autoresponders, sequencers, call them what you like. It's where you send a sequence of emails drip fed to somebody over time from them taking an action or from a discussion that you've had with them or something like that. These are really popular as follow-ups to, say, an ebook download or an opt-in or an event, or perhaps even when you're launching a course or a training series or something like that. Now, the common thing that I see that people make the mistake of with these email marketing automations is that they write in a tone of voice that isn't specific to that person that's reading the email at that particular point in time. Email is really unique as a marketing communication in that you are there with that person and only that person where they're at right now. If they're reading it on their phone, if they're reading it on their laptop screen, it's only them and you that are in that conversation. I know it's one way, but think of it as a conversation and as a one-way type thing. That's different to social media. It's different to broadcast media like videos like this, or like TV that they watch, in that it's very, very personal to them. So don't make the mistake of writing your emails as if you're writing to a group. Write with one person in mind. You know, I've seen a great tip on this, is that if you struggle to write with one person in mind, try and create a single avatar of who that person is. Maybe even give them a name, give them a persona. Who are they? What are they like? Perhaps even have a little model on your desk to remind you that you're writing to one person at once. So in terms of marketing automation, definitely do it, because it keeps that conversation going. It keeps that flow going of information and tips and hints that you're sharing with the person that's opted in or is part of a course or something like that. It's really important that you stay front of mind with them after they've done that first action. But do bear in mind, keep it nice and personal. The next topic I want to cover is one that I don't think the email marketing industry talks about a great deal, and that's what I would term micro automations. They're not one-off broadcasts, they're not long or longer automated sequences or autoresponders. They're single or maybe one or two emails that go as a follow-up to a specific activity that your prospect or your client has done. Whether they've booked a meeting with you, perhaps had a support request, got in contact with you in a specific way, asked a specific question on your website, something like that. The big difference between micro automations and longer marketing automations or autoresponders is that a micro automation is in the context of something very specific, a specific event or activity, and it's in that context. It's probably only going to be one or two emails long, possibly a few more, but probably no more than sort of 3 or 4, but it's usually 1 or 2 emails. And it's in the context of an event. So for example, a support request, you're responding to a support inquiry or a specific question on your website, your micro automation answers that specifically. And instead of you having to craft that email manually each time, a single micro automation that you trigger by applying a tag in your CRM or something like that is a really good way of scaling how you respond to people and doing it in a really consistent way. Another good example is if I've booked a meeting with you via Calendly or another appointment booking software, what do you think we're going to get out of that meeting? In order for that meeting to be successful, in order to position it in a way where we're both going to get the outcomes that we want from it, why not send a micro automation of 1 or 2 emails in the run up to that meeting of the kind of things that we might cover in that session, common questions that people have, possible outcomes from it. And by doing that, it sets the right expectation of what that meeting is going to be like. Is it going to lead to a sale? Is it going to lead to a proposal? Am I going to have questions coming out of that? And if so, can we address them before the meeting? Because if we can address them via email already, or if I can even confirm that actually probably working together is not something that's going to be valuable, it's probably better to do that before the meeting than after spending 30 minutes, 45 minutes or 60 minutes with somebody and the follow-up. It's just a waste of time, and it's a waste of your resource and your energy. So that's micro automations, and think of them specifically as that, again, that single contact response. You're writing to that one person with something specific in mind. Don't make them general. Use your personality let that come out in the email and give the person that you're sending that to a really good impression of what it's like to work with you, how professional you are. The next area where you might want to use email communications that are automated is around the topic of sales automation. Now, this is very different to marketing automation in that it's in the context of a specific sales conversation that you're having with that prospect or that new client. And what I mean by this is perhaps having templated quotes and quote emails that can go out after specific meetings instead of having to craft that from the start. There's a real value to having your quotes in a consistent and reusable format. The second area is around once you've had a sales meeting and you're doing the follow-up, how do you answer frequently asked or should ask questions, even I like to call these, that your prospects might have. That's another good sequence of emails that you can include by way of sales automation. The other good area, the really good area, and I talk about this quite a lot, is when you sign up a new client. Bearing in mind that when you sign up a new client, they are up there in terms of their expectations of what that relationship's going to be. They've just spent possibly a fairly sizable chunk of money with you, and whilst they're up there in terms of their expectations, they are super nervous about what that relationship is going to look like when you are working together after the sale. So by way of bringing on board your new clients, by way of a sales automation, tell them all the things that they probably want to know, but in a nice tone of voice, written one-to-one with them, so it's not depersonalized. It's really nice and relevant to what they bought, how you work together, what questions they might have, and how they can get those addressed as they work with you. That's a really good method to use by way of sales automation. So what's the biggest problem when people are thinking about using email as a communication vehicle for sales automation? I would say it's this. As solopreneurs and as freelancers or small business owners, our personality is really important to that relationship that we have with our clients, isn't it? And if you are sending emails that aren't in that tone of voice, that are that make that new client feel like they're just another sale instead of that really warm relationship sale that they've just bought from you, then that's a real big no-no by way of sales automation and email communications that way. So just bear that in mind when you're crafting those sales automation follow-ups for new clients. So I promise you one final example of email communications that can be automated. And the one that people often overlook or leave to chance or leave to their software to do is finance automation. I know it sounds a little bit boring, but it's definitely one area that can save you time, energy, and headache if you're able to configure your accounting software or your sales processing software, your payment software, to automate the sending of invoices or receipts on a monthly basis. It is the bane of a client's life to have to go and find or chase up on those kind of things. It's also the bane of your life to stay on top of that kind of admin. So do think about bringing in finance automation into your communication automation activities. That covers 5 big areas of how we can use email to automate follow-up and activities in your business. All of the ones that we've covered there will save you time. I want to bring your attention again to that personalization element of it. And I can't reiterate enough, when people do business with solopreneurs, freelancers, or small business owners, they're buying because of a uniqueness, because of a personality, because of the people that are involved in that business. So don't make your emails generic. Think about the person that you're writing to. Think about the persona of who's receiving that. If you were in their shoes, what kind of information would you like to receive? Do bear all of that in mind. I've covered quite a lot today in terms of automating communications via email. If you've got questions about this, drop a comment below. and I'll try and answer those. But because it's quite a wide-ranging topic as well, I'd encourage you to, if you have got questions about your communication strategy or how you do emails across your business, don't hesitate to get in contact. I do lots of email strategy discussions with clients. It's a really good entry point to working together, so I'd encourage you to do that. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. That's all for today. I hope you found this of value, and I look forward to sharing other hints and tips on another occasion.